All right, we'll move on to salary recommendation. Dr. Zalis and Mrs. Atkinson will present the 2019-20 salary for certificated, administrative, and support staff, along with the extra duty stipends and substitute teacher pay.
Let Mrs. Atkinson start. So these are some of these slides you'll recall from her budget presentation, our last meeting, and we'll go through that, and I'll be the color person, she'll be the lead. So until it comes to the recommendation.
Okay, so we're going to start with actually reading to you the mission statement to keep in mind why we're having this particular discussion this evening. It is the responsibility of the Raleigh School District to provide, in partnership with the community, the best educational opportunities possible for our students through a commitment to excellence in personnel, facilities, curriculum, and instruction. To that end, CSIP goal number 2 is to recruit, attract, develop, and retain highly qualified staff to carry out the district's mission, goals, and objectives. So, in order to reach tonight's discussion and recommendation, we have met twice now with the Central Office Advisory Committee, once on April 9th and again on the 22nd. We have reviewed all of the district's current data, data looking forward, and also state budget information as it has become available. This is a familiar slide from earlier in April. Nothing really has changed here. The state legislature has approved, it looks like, full funding for next year. However, there is quite a revenue gap for the amount that is expected to be received. So I am planning on budgeting for an SAT of $6,308 per weighted average daily attendance. So that's an increase overall of our main revenue sources of $645,000.
So as Kendra pointed out, next to the last line is the range, and that is full funding versus the 6308. As we talked about last meeting, we're just now receiving full funding as of March at 6308. So it's kind of the baseline that we built the budget upon. There's 10 days left in the session, give or take, and we know nothing more about revenues other than full funding. And as what's been stated, I think some discussion still about transportation between the House and the Senate, moving from 5 to 10 million, but we already kind of knew that going into our last meeting, so those variables haven't changed. But the range is still there for that purpose. We're hopeful for the right side of the range, but banking on the left side.
And again, this is also not changed from early in April. Movement on the salary schedule. Cost is $398,200. Each 1% increase to the base is just under $300,000. We are meeting with the insurance brokers here in a couple of weeks. So we have no more information at this time regarding our health insurance for next year and how those RFPs are coming in. So the total expenditures increase that we're anticipating at this time is $1,163,400 for salaries and benefits.
So as you mentioned, we did meet with the Central Office Advisory twice in April, shared these same numbers, and told them we're hopeful that the 12% health insurance increase won't be a reality. And based upon previous years, we budgeted more and came back with a lower amount, but we have nothing to justify that at this point. But we don't anticipate 12% now. So what you see there is obviously larger than the right side of that range. So that represents this number represents a deficit spend projection. But as you know, we overestimate the expenditures and try to underestimate our revenues and budget conservatively, so we come in just fine. So the recommendation, I'll advance.
So before we get to the recommendation, most of you are familiar with the Camdenton Salary Survey that we put out each year. It's a list of 26 districts. There's a lot of information in that. The thing we look at for tonight is primarily the Step 1 incoming teacher salary. We are assuming that we increase the base by 1% and move everybody a step. We'll be at number 13 on that schedule. That's basically a difference of $6 or $7 between us and the next higher district.
Oh my gosh.
So we do look at the first step on the salary schedule. Would say this year, as you look at our recruiting class thus far, we've got more beginning teachers than we had in years past, and we don't make a concerted effort one way or the other. Last year we only had 2. So, you know, you kind of look at that number, and is that number at 13 impacting our ability to attract new teachers? At this juncture, we would say no, because we're not far from one of the top spots. And our salary schedule's indexed with an overlay and to try to mitigate some of that impact as well.
Currently, again, we're budgeted for an ending fund balance of just over 23% for this year. But as Dr. Zalis mentioned, we do budget conservatively, so at this point, I am hopeful we're going to come in closer to around 32%. That fund balance is what can carry us to have to go ahead and offer salary and benefit increases.
As we shared with the committee, historically, while others are doing more drastic things, the volatility and what we're able to give our staff every year to achieve CSIP Goal 1 is rather steady. And this is no different this year. So our recommendation for the salary schedule, which is in your packet, it would be a 1% increase on base plus movement on all support and administrative and teacher salary schedules, which equates to an average 2.3% increase for next year. We've shared this information previously, shared it with the Central Office Advisory. A few of them are here tonight. We appreciate them attending meetings, and we've been very open with where we're at, so happy to answer any questions.
So we need a recommendation to accept this?
Please.
I will recommend that we accept the salary schedule for 2019, 2020, as stated.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Or
I just comment that, you know, year after year, we end up about even.
Correct.
So we have faith in your numbers, Aaron. And everybody end up there again, so.
Reasonably comfortable, and the word reasonably is every year. I feel like a broken record, but I'm just happy that we're able to continue to move forward. That's consistent. Kendra mentioned the Camdenton Salary Survey Group, and that data set is important to us on a variety of fronts. We not only look at it comparatively speaking with teacher salaries, but we do lunch prices, administrative salaries, sometimes tax levies. We use that data set because there are schools of similar size and those that might compete with us. Our conference schools are included in that, and I've kind of kept you apprised of what our conference schools are doing. So, you know, we've got to continue to keep up with the Joneses, and you hired some staff tonight that we're able to recruit here because it makes good business sense for them, but then the culture is that way too. So high expectations, good staff is why we're in the achievement mode we're in too. So thank you for your support for that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We were a little off there. Any opposed, same sign. We'll get it together.